We are all very different from each other, different culture, different language, different thought process, different beliefs, and in many other ways also we are all unique. But the one thing that's common between all of us is that we all have families. Families is such an intact entity that is the very source of our existence. The great grandparents and before, like the first ancestor, and from there on, the families have been coming into existence, living their life, leaving their legacy, some trauma, some good memories, all of that are part of a family. So, one of the things that I have learned, and I'm very, very grateful about it, is through family constellation therapy training. And during that training, I came across the idea of a harmonious family life. How does a family work? So, a family is a system, just like any system where there are more than two parts, they are all interacting with each other. So it's not just one member of the family that's important, it's the interaction between all the family members that is important. And in the case of the family, we are not just talking about the family that are alive. It's about each one of the family members that had ever lived that will have an impact on your family system. So quickly in this video, I'll take you through the four main rules, you can say, or fundamental basics that we should watch out for and we should take care of if we want a harmonious family life. So number one is to acknowledge each and every family member, whether dead or alive. So there are some family members in every family that we don't like, that we don't want to talk about, maybe an alcoholic uncle or a criminal aunt or some cousin who is not good to us or who is not being good to other people, or for any other reason we just don't want to talk about them. So that should be avoided. Each and every family member has a place in this family, in your family, and they must be acknowledged. So what happens is if we don't acknowledge them, because as I said, family works as a system, the system doesn't care about morality, criminality, the system doesn't judge anyone, it just wants to fill the gap. So if we don't acknowledge anyone, if people are forgotten or completely avoided, then the system tries to fill the gap through anyone, through people who are alive. They would try to fill the gap of that person, and that creates many, many problems. And I'll talk about in detail in my long form podcast about family constellation. But in this video, just the four basic rules. So number one, acknowledge everyone. In this acknowledgement, we also take care of children who are not there. So children who we lost through either miscarriage or abortion, regardless of the reason for abortion. If we have had to let go of a child, that child should also be acknowledged because they also have a place now in our system. Number two, hierarchy. There is a very, very clear hierarchy for each family member. So each one of us has a unique place in our family system, and we should not take the place of the other. So for example, our grandparents come after our great grandparents, then our parents, then us, and then our children and their children, so on and so forth. So it's like a waterfall. It just falls down, it doesn't go up. And even in that one hierarchy, so one level of siblings, for example, I come number two because my first brother was a stillborn. So I consider myself as the second child, even though for the world I am the first child. So my position is that of a second child, then my sister, brother, and then another sister. So what happens, the reason for the hierarchy is that people who come before, they give to the people who come after. So for example, if my younger siblings start to look after me or they start to give me more than I give to them, then this can create some disharmony also. And this is, I wanted to tell you, this is not a moral code. This is not a sermon or a preaching. This is not a principle. This is simply based on the observation of hundreds of thousands of families that Bert Hellinger, the German psychotherapist, he came up with these four orders of love, he calls. So as long as we follow these four orders, there will be love flowing in our family and there will be harmony for each one of us alive and for the new generations to come. Number three is that we all have our own fate or destiny, and we should not take it from the other. So for example, if we have a family member who has a very tragic life, we should acknowledge that is their fate and that is their destiny that they are going to live through. We can be there as the carers, we can be there as the providers for whatever they need, but we cannot take their fate, we cannot change their destiny, and we cannot take it along with us. We do this subconsciously a lot of times, and that's when the problem occur. Number 4 is that giving and receiving should be on equal footing within the family. So it's not just the financial giving, it could be in any other form, but if we are receiving, we should also be giving, and if we are always giving, we should also be receiving. There is one exception to this rule, is that of our parents, because the parents gave us the gift of life and we cannot give the gift of life back to them. So that is not something we can give in equal terms. So that is a completely different relationships. In that relationship, the parents always give to the children and children are always there to receive. So these are the 4 orders of love for any family system to work in harmony. So try to see if we are doing all 4 of them or if there are any gaps in them. When I learned about that, there were many areas that I started to work on and I can feel the difference. Let me know your experience and let me know your thoughts about it. And I hope that you can take one or more of these principles that are not there at the moment in your conscious vision. So try to implement them and have a great family life.